situation in the standings where all these teams are very close to each other.
And anyone can beat anyone.
Anyone can beat anyone. I obviously want to say H2k is the favorites for this one, but we have seen teams get 1-1 so many times.
After yesterday, after last week, I don't really know what to think anymore, but ROCCAT, they are really soul-searching here after that crushing loss against Giants yesterday. Starting out the picks and bans, though, we'll see what they decide to opt for. Azir and Elise removed. Jhin will also be banned away against Steelback.
I like the Jhin ban. I think Jhin has been super powerful in this current meta. It's like the armor penetration builds against all these squishy champions, like squishy supports, mid laners, you name it. They all get destroyed. Swain, well, when you play against ROCCAT, you happen to often ban the Swain.
Yeah, he pretty much receives a lot of their bans. Vlad as well, obviously, really, really powerful choice, but it's all about Betsy. Teams have been pretty much gunning to shut him down constantly, so they ban a lot of things against him. The Ashe is taken away now by ROCCAT.
Okay, so Caitlyn is still open. If we look at top tier AD carries, Sivir is here as well, but we saw a lot of Ezreal yesterday, often as a safe choice, being like, okay, you're building a comp with Olaf in here and some Shens. Well, we don't really want to have an AD carry here who can just get collapsed on. So
how many Shens to Fischia?
More than 2 Shens, Pyro, more than 2 Shens, but we had just very often this safe AD carry choice in the Ezreal. Caitlyn first pick, I mean, when you have double AD carry ban and she's the strongest of the remaining ones, it makes sense, but I do think it gives a lot of options for H2k to counterpick it. I actually really like comps like Olaf, Hecarim, Shen, Lissandra, some of these picks against Caitlyn, and you just try and hard engage on her.
Yeah, well, H2k, they definitely had some power in the early games we've seen from them. If we get the Bard in, that also gives them the Shen, the global pressure. Steelback's going to have to watch his back.
Yeah, I really think this is a smart rotation. We just talked about the Shen, how good he is at reaching the backline because he can taunt flash. And Caitlyn cannot net out of taunt flash. It happens instantly, so that's a good way to reach her. Also, Shen is fantastic, as you said, with the global pressure. Another thing is Bard. Bard's ulti against Caitlyn, because Caitlyn's net is very slow when she has to dash out, very, very often the Bard ulti will just hit and stun her anyway, mid-air, and then you collapse straight onto the Caitlyn. So I think this rotation is very smart from H2k, and it kind of won out in the first part of the draft because the Caitlyn was the first pick.
All right, I'm liking this Airwax going back on the Kindred because this is actually something they played against H2k when they first met back in week number 1, and he was crucial to their victory in the first game, where he pretty much just set up these fights where everyone jumped right into the Lamb's Respite, and they pretty much were able to alternate saving people's lives. I like this, but I'm curious if Jankos now doesn't get something disruption-wise, like a Gragas.
Gragas could work for him. Olaf obviously has been a strong jungle pick, would fit with the composition H2k has been building as well. I mean, there's still Rek'Sai open if you want to play very safe. Nidalee's here. There's a lot of great jungle choices.
That's true.
I actually don't think Kindred is very strong at the moment because she's been nerfed quite a bit, you know, over multiple patches. But it is an Airwax special, as you highlighted. Let's see, with H2k, I mean, there's so many choices. The Gragas makes perfect sense as a counter pick to Kindred. You can knock her out of her ulti.
We still can start. Oh, wow, okay, that's a quick lock-in for Freeze. And, you know, when you start seeing teams not banning the Draven, not thinking about it as much, if he can get protected, you've got the Shen for backup here. You've got a Bard as well, keeping him nice and healthy. And then the Gragas disengage. This might be the comp for it. And
the Draven is sort of like the Jhin situation where you go very heavy armor penetration, builds and runes. And it's really good against multiple squishy targets. And because Kindred was locked in this early, she's obviously not going to build tank. She's going to be squishy the entire game long. Caitlyn will be squishy. Victor will be squishy. If you go for a ranged support here as ROCCAT, well, then you have 4 members that Freeze can basically 2-shot in the late game. So Draven makes perfect sense for H2k. And there's no real hard engage on the side of ROCCAT. There's no champion here who can really get to the backline other than the Gnar. Gnar with the flash
Gnar. He has to burn the teleport or
TP,
top,
flash,
whatever.
You know, ulti, and that's how you get to Draven. But then, guys, once we go to late game, that can be Mikhail's from the support, QSS from the AD carry, and then suddenly that one stun as your only engage doesn't work anymore. So I think this is a risky draft from ROCCAT. A lot of squishy members, and no real way of stopping the Draven if he gets ahead.
No, H2k are definitely going to be doubling down on that. You got to think they'll want to be taking themselves some standard lanes. Freeze, signature champion for him, and for very good reason. No longer undefeated this split on it, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it was shut down pretty heavily by the Unicorns, I believe.
It was in the 2-0 to Unicorns of Love.
Yeah.
Where We were all surprised. Zillion, I mean, if you want to just all in for protecting the backline, I think this pick is strong.
There you go.
H2k has drafted a composition that, if the AD doesn't get ahead, could lack some damage. But again, it's a Draven. It's a Draven who builds Ghostblade and runs armor penetration runes. Like, there's a very high chance he gets a good start to the game and he will get a few early kills. H2k really likes to play around bot lane when Freeze is on Draven. And as we talked about before, there are 4 squishy members on the side of ROCCAT that can literally get destroyed by a Draven.
Yeah, and not only that, the one tanky member they do have is only situational. I mean, the Gnar is kind of like, if you can't play around the timing, we've been questioning Parang's champion pool. He picked up the Jace yesterday, and, you know, is this a meta he's having trouble playing or in?
I think it is. Also, I think for ROCCAT, it's a lot about comfort picks because they have been losing so much. So it's more like, which champion can you perform the best on right now on stage? I know, you know, it's not the greatest situation. Your team doesn't 100% work. At the moment, at least, the teamwork isn't there. So sometimes teams revert to comfort picks. I like to see the Gnar instead. But I think H2k in this game will just lane swap. Against Caitlyn, Janna, against Gnar, against Shen, I think you just lane swap it and farm up the Draven.
Well, we'll have to see if that is indeed what happens.
We have to see, Pyra.
No, they've got a whole lot to try and improve here, but H2k, they're trying to climb right back up in the standings. If you think it's going to happen today, hashtag H2k win on that side at LOL eSports. Hashtag ROC win if you think Team ROCCAT can take this high damage, very squishy composition all the way to a victory. Keep on those Twitter fingers going. The crowd is fired up here as we get ready to kick off day 2. Halfway through the split and even more action to follow. Let's load up onto the Rift and see how these two teams stack up.
And it should be a very exciting matchup, as we talked about before, Pyra. 2 teams who really want to turn around this slump. The crowd.
Today I learned what comes after H2.
Well, as I said before,
It's an Ocean Drake.
it is an Ocean Drake. H2... What?
Ocean Drake.
Ocean Drake. H2 Ocean Drake.
Yeah. And H2k are going to be going a little deep. Jankos wants to get his way in here, but it's just the deep ward.
Saying hello, saying hello. We see this very often in professional sport. Just, you know, when the game starts, everyone kind of quick high five, fist bump around, getting ready for the game. That's what Jankos tried to do. Sadly, no one wanted to give him a little belly bump. Anyway, both teams setting up. We talked about H2k. One in the lane swap here. No reason to risk the Janna Caitlyn lane. It is a bully lane for sure. Gnar does well into the Shen at the same time. So lane swap does make a lot of sense, but ROCCAT are trying to match it. They will be spotted on the ward. So you will see H2k path down through the mid lane and then just turn down towards the bottom side.
They're going to get spotted, though. No way to really avoid getting spotted on that one. So it's pinged out. H2k know they can take the safe swap themselves. Freeze and Vander moving down towards this bottom side. So far, happy for them here, but you know they're doubling down, making sure that Freeze can get ahead as much as he can. And you look at those masters on the side of ROCCAT, all about the fights.
Yeah, 3 champions who goes further battle in this one. Obviously, when you play Gnar into Shen, you get a ton of auto attacks off. Nothing really stopping you. And Vander's trying to stop Raptors. He's just a lonely bard. And therefore, he's only able to annoy and nothing else.
Well, he can collect chimes.
He could. I don't think there was anyone in there. Maybe one. Good for him. Still, I like this comp from H2k. I think it's a really smart draft. The Caitlyn first pick didn't really matter. If you're H2k, because you got 2 very strong picks in both the Bard and Shen who are good against Caitlyn. Again, ulti from Bard and Taunt Flash from Shen. And this Caitlyn suddenly struggles.
Oh yeah, no, they've definitely got themselves a really good composition here. The question is, what are they going to do in this early game? Because ROCCAT have drafted a whole lot of later game power. It's kind of been their signature style, but obviously while we have this slow, you know, easy, fast push that just comes out without a whole lot of aggression.
Slow, easy, fast push.
Yeah, slow, easy, fast push. Keep pointing it. Where do H2k start to look to make plays around the map early?
Oh, I mean, if you're H2k, you don't really make plays around the map in the early game. You wait for mid game. Like, you want to get Ghostblade on your Draven, complete a full item on your Zillion in the mid lane as well, and then suddenly you actually hit a point in the mid game where you are extremely strong, where Caitlyn can struggle a little bit in terms of overall DPS. And that's why H2k will go crazy. That's why lane swap benefits him so much, because now you just farm. Trade, take the bot tower, go top lane, take the top tower, get Ghostblade complete on Draven, stack up a little bit as well with his passive. And it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect for them. And ROCCAT, again with one of these comps where we probably will go late game for them, and they will try and like win these late game fights.
Which they have done, not recently, but on a number of occasions.
Right, yeah, recently it's been kind of meh.
ROCCAT have had some troubles right now. They've not been where they needed to be, getting involved in fights, and they've given up a lot of opportunities. It's not just like not doing anything in the mid game, not doing anything in the early game.
Might have to give this tower.
Yeah.
Nah, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine.
Yeah, Odo's got it.
You always
One
gotta
hit. Come on.
be a little bit scared, you know, when the minions die, the tower gets a small buff suddenly. You don't get to last hit it. But also again with this H2k team here, even though we said they were in a slump just like ROCCAT, actually let's talk about it after because Airwax, he's ganking mid.
Yeah, Ryu, he's got to speed himself up, but Airwax is not keen on letting him get away. Flashes forward. That's going to be first blood over to the jungler from ROCCAT.
Very, very good gank from Airwax coming from the top side. Ryu, in my opinion, should have hovered more towards the bottom side in this lane here, because there's only one place you can get ganked from, and that's from the top lane. Meanwhile, we see a TP top from Odo Amner. H2k have sent every single member to the top lane right now to just start pushing it in very early, because Odo Amner got stopped. He obviously couldn't do much in the bottom lane, and that's the problem when you fall slightly behind in how fast you take the first tower. Your top lane actually ends up losing out on farm, and then suddenly Odo Amner just had to leave, but he's TPing in. He's gonna be fine in terms of experience. We're gonna see Parang TP into this bot tower as well.
Yeah, there he goes. So we go back and settle into the trade once again, but ROCCAT, they do have the jump on it in the tower in the bottom side, so at the 5-minute mark, we'll have the two outer towers traded away. H2k a little bit slower on the draw, but they're perfectly fine with it for now. Big bulk of the goal difference, though, being made up by ROCCAT getting that first blood. Airwax on a very aggressive play in mid.
I want to see ROCCAT, though, now go for Dragon, which they're doing, as you can see in your minimap. I think it's a smart choice when you are ahead in the lane swap, and you always, when you start on top side and swap down to bottom side, you take that tier 1 tower, and then you're high enough level to kind of rush down that Dragon. Don't need to worry too much anymore. Like level 2 can be too early, so after 1 tower, that's why you see the team swap and then take it. I think that's smart. Ocean Drake is great in the early game. Extra sustain, everyone loves it. And a good start now for ROCCAT in this lane swap. Actually been outplaying H2k, because not only have they been winning in the side lanes, also had that early gank in mid.
Right.
Betsy definitely needed that gank. He's been stomped in this lane.
Oh yeah, he's having a hard time farming and just dodging out the bombs. He's just stepping up to try and push Ryu back, but still getting zoned away from a lot of that CS. A little help from Airwax has helped him go quite a long way. For ROCCAT though, yeah, I mean, for the longest time this split, it seems, they had the pretty much this early game that they just didn't do anything. That was the joke. Constantly ROCCAT, they're just not proactive. Yesterday that changed a little bit. They tried to make plays against Giants. It just wasn't enough, and they fell back into that comfortable pattern, champion pick-wise and play-wise. And you know, it's nice to see this refreshing from them, getting a little bit ahead of a team that is still in the top 3 here in Europe. Yeah,
even though obviously it's a lane swap, so it's not like mechanically they've been outplaying H2k, they've just been faster on the push.
Yeah, the decision-making is there. That's the key thing, because we've talked about communication issues. We've talked about the team not playing on the same level as their opponents, and this is an encouraging sign for a team that is really struggling. I mean, when you've got one win in 10 games, you've got to take what you can get.
Definitely. I mean, it's a good start for ROCCAT. They still would have loved standard lanes. That is a little bit annoying if you are a ROCCAT here that you didn't get standard lanes, because you never got to really bully the 2 side lanes, and instead it's even. You can see how everyone from H2k have just been trying to match the farm, but because H2k have been so slow in this swap, we're actually seeing an AD carry who's behind in Freeze. We see a top laner who's behind in Odo Amner, also behind in inexperience between the 2 top laners. So ROCCAT has been doing a great job just fast pushing in, and now H2k are trying to freeze 2 lanes at once, because there's nothing else they can do on the map.
There's only one freeze.
There's only one freeze.
So unfortunately, they can't get it done. Yeah, they're getting pushed in pretty hard here. There's a whole lot of warding from ROCCAT in this topside jungle, especially. Really lit up right now.
It is actually annoying, though, when the team is double freezing in the early game, because it can be very hard for you to make an aggressive play. Best choice is often just going mid lane. Get a few hits on mid tower until the mid laner can wave clear, and that's about it. Because you don't really want to dive this early in the game. It can be very risky. I like the move in from ROCCAT. Yanker should have been here already to stop this push, but he wanted to take the Grump down. Now you see Banner join. So if H2k had been faster on the defense, on the communication, hey, they're going mid. That's the only play they have, is go mid. They could have stopped this push here from ROCCAT. Instead, the siege is being set up.
Yeah, and here's where it gets real annoying. The Caitlyn trap's coming out constantly here. Odo Amner and Parang trade each other out a little
Look
bit.
at Airwax again, Pyra.
Side. Airwax, he's coming down, though. We'll have to wait a minute before that happens because Jankos throws the barrel, knocks Betsy into the wall, but they don't have enough damage, and in comes the Chaos Storm just to zone them away. Ryu, he's got to be real careful. Nearly had to use his ult, and Odo goes down at the end. Airwax picking up a second kill of the game.
Same problem as yesterday for H2k, the communication just seems really, really off.
Yeah,
from this team here. It's like, guys, we're freezing 2 lanes. They just left the top side. Where can they go? They can only go mid lane. That's the only lane they can go to. And then they're very slow at moving in. You know, gotta finish his jungle cam, and then Vander moves down a little bit later. Tons of damage on mid tower. And Odam steps forward in his lane and just get ganked. Very easy gank from Airwax.
They're not reacting, really, though. They're allowing ROCCAT to make these plays without really giving up anything or giving anything to themselves. This is not a proactive team right now. They're in a holding pattern.
Well, obviously when you fall behind the lane swap, you kind of lose the ability to be proactive. It's more there you trying to save the situation and just max your farm. Obviously Odano was behind before, so you wanted to catch up. Problem for him was as soon as he pushed out that one lane, because there was no pressure on the map, ROCCAT could just send the jungler wherever they wanted to, and he had to overextend forward and therefore got ganked. But it's just a little bit too easy for ROCCAT right now to move around. H2k just reacting very slowly. And that's why we have this gold lead now, 1,000 gold. And we have a Draven who's farming, yes. But he needs...
He's not cashing in.
He needs an early kill, definitely, for Freeze to snowball. He is the damage dealer right now. Like, this H2k composition will have very, very low amount of damage if Freeze doesn't get ahead.
Yeah. But on the side of ROCCAT, though, I mean, they've got what is effectively an AD carry that's starting to get ahead as well. The Kindred will be really critical when ROCCAT does want to actually start taking straight-up fights. Right now, the gank squad is really still working out well for him. And Airwax is a player that I think we've criticized quite a lot for some of his positioning in a lot of fights. Right now, early game, he's definitely showing up. So playing a little bit better as Jankos finds him, trying to fight for the pink war. That may not be worth. In comes Betsy, and there's a death laser.
Ryu had ulti ready. Not sure if he was not in range, but he was really close to Jankos. Jankos definitely expected to get the ulti from Ryu on the way out, but he stayed to kill that pink ward, took a lot of damage. Interesting that Ryu didn't manage to put the ulti on him just before. Definitely another mistake from H2k. Ryu is, like, close enough. Had ulti ready.
Yeah, that's real troubling for this H2k team. You know, we're 11 minutes into this game. They've given up 3 fairly unnecessary kills as Odoamne teleports out or back to a tower as he was seeing Airwax jump in on him again, getting flashbacks to earlier. 20 seconds till the next dragon. It is another ocean. The way ROCCAT's controlling the map right now, despite the vision in that side for H2k, shouldn't be that hard of a take for them.
No, again, as you just said, they have full control on the map. You have Caitlyn mid already. She's just going to perma push it over and over and over. Plays 5 traps. That means you have river control. That means you have dragon control. H2k could walk down and try and fight it, but they would be way too late. That's just sending Vander to like check what's going on. Rest of the team is coming. Shin does have his ulti, but that dragon is already gone.
Yeah, and there's no reason to fight over it once you can't get in there and get involved. So they just kind of come in and scenically watch it happen, observe the ROCCAT dragon take. Not really anything else that H2k can do at the moment. They are looking a little more passive and cowed by the fact that they cannot really push out. Getting some vision coverage in the top side of the map, but you know, what are they really getting out of it? What are they doing here?
I can't really tell you what they're doing because...
Devicio, analyze the game for me, please.
I mean, the problem for H2k, right, is if they were here looking at this game, they would be like, they shouldn't be here, they should have been here earlier, why did you do this doesn't make sense. And it's because obviously H2k right now, as they say themselves, they're in a slump. They're not performing well on stage. And we're seeing a lot of mistakes, obviously, from them in this game, but also ROCCAT honestly punishing them.
Yeah. Well, and H2k know that these are the problems they have as well. Jankos is talking about in his interview just, hey, you know, we've got to really shore up our communication right now. We need to be more aggressive. And against a team like ROCCAT that we've critiqued for not really being aggressive enough, I mean, they're obviously kind of teaching a masterclass relative to what H2k are doing at the moment. But that's what happens when you get ahead. 2,000 gold now. 12.5 minutes on the clock. There will be yet another Ocean Drake. So all the regeneration in this game. And H2k just continue to try and save this tower, but you can't Zillion ult it, unfortunately. And in comes Airwax. Magical Journey, Vander, he just side swipes him as he goes through it. Nearly went down in the back of it.
Airwax not greedy enough to flash over the wall and kill him.
No, but that's good though. You can't be too greedy.
Exactly. I respect that. Airwax is a player who loves to go for these individual plays, but oftentimes he ends up getting caught out. This game, it's been perfect from Airwax. He's been able to set up easy ganks. He's been controlling the map, and obviously the one time Jankers tried to invade on him, he just killed him because Brio, for some reason, were like, nah, do you want to save my jungler, Pyra? Not really. Maybe sending a message to Jankers, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Be like, you don't want to defend my mid tower? I don't want to ult you, that's how it goes.
Well, you start infighting, you're never going to be able to win those games. Airwax, though, yeah, Kindred got those nerfs. He's been on a comfortable pick, and that's what we've critiqued ROCCAT for, is falling back on a comfort. But sometimes it can definitely pay off for you if you can play it at a high level. This game so far, Airwax has been dictating the pace.
And I think there's a big difference between picking Jace top, which no one else plays at all, and then taking a Kindred, even though she is slightly weaker. As a comfort pick, I definitely can accept the Kindred from Airwax. He is a very active early game jungler. Odo Amna now learned his lesson. He's not going to overextend. He is recalling on a pink ward, however.
Yeah.
He's not going to get punished for it. Does get a pink ward as a reward.
He's got to be careful in the 1v1, though, because he's going to be facing down Parang, who's now sitting on the Black Cleaver. Starts to get much more dangerous. We've seen Nars hitting that power spike, get the side pushing, and ROCCAT can keep controlling the pace 1-3-1 or 4-1 if they really want it, but Betsy's in the top at the moment.
So, with this 1v1 in the bottom lane, Pyra, it's just going to be Odoamne sitting and pushing out his wave and nothing else. He can never really trade. H2k is going to win this game through team fighting, which is what ROCCAT's composition wants to do, but this is because H2k is falling this far behind. The Draven currently is sitting on 280 stacks and doesn't have Ghostblade completed just yet. But if you can't really keep giving up dragons if you're H2k, you need to be able to fight for the next one at least.
Yeah. Well, they're roving around it, but it's still going to be plenty of time before that happens. You can see the vision investment down bottom side, going for the sweep house. Freeze clearing away the pink with the help of Vander, but the way ROCCAT are playing right now, they own way too much of the map, and H2k just keep giving up ground without really any consequence for them. Ace in the hole nails Ryu as he has to zoom away. And the rest of ROCCAT just keep pushing down the mid lane. I mean, we're 50 minutes in. They've really started to accelerate this pace. Yeah,
and obviously, why is ROCCAT winning the map so easily? That's because they control at minimum 2 out of the 3 lanes. You have the Caitlyn lane, which is in full control of ROCCAT because Caitlyn can put down traps and just perma push it. No one can really contest her. You can double bomb with Zillion, but you just clear out the wave and nothing else. But Caitlyn will always reach the wave first because she has multiple members around her. And then wherever the Gnar is, that's another winning lane from ROCCAT. So that means 2 lanes H2k can't really push out and make a play in. There's only 1 lane left, and that's the lane where Freeze is running around. But he's a Draven trying to farm and stack up his passive. So you have no lane where you can be proactive if you're H2k.
And speaking of stacks as well, ROCCAT, since they've taken and carved so much of this jungle out for themselves, they've given Airwax the opening to grab all of his stacks very early on. This is a Kindred that has really moved far forward in the game. I believe he's sitting on 5 at the moment.
Definitely been a good game from Airwax when you start
he's
getting
not the whole team,
the
obviously, but he's doing well.
Running as well, and yeah, again, you just control the enemy jungle. Like right now, ROCCAT owns 75% of the jungle. It's like 25% on the bottom side. That's it for H2k.
If my math serves me correctly, that is an advantageous number.
It is definitely a good thing. It's a very, very good thing, Pyro.
Glad we clarified that.
You are a smart man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, you don't have to lie to me, but it's okay.
Wow, self-burn. Poor guy.
I do it before anyone else can. That's what I do. But
did you have a rough childhood or something?
You have no idea. What I do know, though, is that ROCCAT have 2 Ocean Drakes, and they're looking to be on track to get another one. H2k have invested a lot of vision here. You see 1, 2, 3 pink wards. They're lighting up this bottom side of the jungle. And there's a lot of people there, but ROCCAT, I feel like they're strong enough to take a straight-up fight at this point.
Obviously, ROCCAT's composition in the mid-game, because you have Caitlyn, in terms of pure damage, is not the greatest, but it's not weak, like at all. It's still a very strong composition. There's no fully completed item for Steelback compared to the Draven Ghostblade, so Freeze will be stronger if you just compare 80 carries, but Victor is already sitting on a large rod plus fully upgrade Hex Core, so he's strong. Kindred is fed. I think ROCCAT can easily take the fight, and they should take the fight, and that's where H2k will try and get back into the game. If they lose this fight around this dragon here, well then the game's probably over.
Well, they're trying to set up the death brush. They're hoping ROCCAT wanders face first into danger, but not falling for it right now. Keep the wards cleared out, and they're just not confident to start up the dragon. The 1v1 continues up top side, and ROCCAT just keep taking the chance to start pushing in the mid lane. while it's undefended.
H2k is looking for that
There we
fight
go.
here.
Yankos, oh, pops in. Let's see. Got the big barrel, but Raze is going to instantly flash out of it. There goes the Bard ulti, but Freeze, he's got to cash in. They're looking for steal back. No, make that airwhack, turning their attention. He does manage to get the shutdown, but Yankos gets the ultimate. Ryu has to flash away. ROCCAT just keep chasing him down after the duration finishes. Barrel comes in. Does he get in time to save him? It looks like it. Just a 1 for 2.
Ryu just used his ulti on Yankos instead of the Draven, who just cashed in 780 gold and had the Shen ulti on him, so Odama didn't show up. Freeze died, and H2k ended up losing the fight despite getting that early kill. That's gonna be another dragon now for ROCCAT. 4,000 gold lead, triple Ocean Drake. H2k are moving down, but it's just Vander. Everyone else is in base. Not been a great game for Ryu, and ROCCAT punish H2k once again. Okay, let's see it. I like the setup here from H2k. They understand that now they're strong enough to try and create a pick for Freeze. So Raze goes down, that's the cash in, 780 extras. Then look here at Ryu. He has ulti ready. I think because Yankos body slam and flashes in on top of Freeze, Ryu already has his mouse there. He's about to click on Freeze with the ulti, but then the Gragas just kind of flashes in front of him, being like, no, me. And then suddenly, you ulted the wrong guy. And that's why, guys, when you use Zilean, just click on the icons instead with your ulti. Much safer.
Pro tip for you next time.
Than just clicking, you know, on the map, because then suddenly guys are moving around, flashing, someone else steps in front, and you end up ulting the wrong guy and lose the fight.
Yeah, rough deal for H2k as it stands. That's a 4,000 gold advantage to ROCCAT. They've got the 3 dragons. Rift Herald goes bye-bye. And we got 12 seconds till the Baron will show its ugly head. H2k, though, are firmly locked out of this jungle, firmly locked out of the lanes, really, and ROCCAT's still leading the charge.
Yeah, now we have to see if ROCCAT are able to close out the game. 20 minutes. Obviously, it's not over yet. It's only a 4K goal lead, but that's still pretty huge, and you have all the dragons. You also have a Kindred, who's very good at taking down Barons, and when you have triple Ocean, because Baron doesn't put you in combat to stop the Ocean Drake regeneration, you can actually start just taking down the Baron and barely lose any HP because you just get so much back from the Ocean Drakes. You need to be attacked by a champion or a tower to get in combat.
I mean, the priorities are all over the place. H2k take the outer turret, but they trade for an interrupt topside, and they use so many members to try and do it compared to what ROCCAT were doing. Now they're going to be trying to retreat, spot it out here, get themselves a speed boost, and they're out of it. But nonetheless, it's still not a great trade. They've lost so much ground across this map right now.
But if you're H2k and you can trade towers, you go for it. Every time.
At this point, I suppose.
Yeah, otherwise you just kind of see ROCCAT slowly but surely take every single tower and you don't really gain anything. So when you can trade, take it. And now, honestly, if you're H2k, you need to just try to protect the Baron area. If you can delay ROCCAT from taking this Baron the next 5, 6, 7 minutes, you start getting a second item completed on your side, and you gotta start just playing for late game, honestly, if you're H2k, more and more, because if ROCCAT plays this game correct, H2k shouldn't really have an easy chance to get back in the game, but control vision around Baron, stop them from taking down the Baron quickly, and see if you can take another fight where Freeze can get 2 or 3 kills on this Draven, and then maybe, but we talked about this so often, or so many times, H2k's composition, if Freeze is not fed, they have no damage. Gragas deals no damage, Shen deals no damage, Zilean is not a high damage mid laner in the late game. It's all about the Draven.
Yeah, singular win condition for H2k's team, and if they can't protect him well enough, that's not going to work for them. We really praised their draft at the start of this, but the execution, it hasn't been there yet.
I think the draft made a lot of sense from H2k. I think they had good answers to what ROCCAT were building. The Draven against the multiple squishy members, against very low backline threat, made a ton of sense, but then misplaying the lane swap from H2k, something we don't see very often. And then obviously that last team fight could have given much more.
Tempered Fate, it's going to crash onto Steel back right now. They got the double bomb, stand aside. In comes Freeze for the cash-in, but now the fight's on, and Parang tries to get a big hit on the rest of H2k. Nothing doing. Yanko's low, but there, they knock Freeze into the wall. Parang coming up with a kill on the back of it, and they're all sitting in the Lamb's Respite. Ryu's got to blow his own chrono shift, but they're chasing down Odo Wamne, and Betsy will get this spree. Ryu's going to fall.
And that's going to be Baron.
A massive fight in Baron time.
So we talked about this in Champ Select, how Bard can ulti towards the Caitlyn. If she tries to net out of it, she will still get caught. just in the end, while she's flying in the air, she gets caught. That's what happened. It then put in double Zillion bomb on top of it, and once she gets out of the bot ulti, instant stun, she's dead. Problem is, you invest everything onto one guy, and you're really far behind, so the rest of ROCCAT just shows up behind you, and they say, thank you very much, that's another easy team fight for us. We got a 4-0 Kindred, 3-0 Victor, and we also got a Baron now. So this is what you see happen. That because there's no flash on Steelback, he has to try and net out of it, and then the bot ulti will still catch him. Double bomb into stun, he's down, but now it's 5 members together from H2k, taking a lot of damage, and they used everything to take down Steelback. And a great ulti from Parang, gets freeze. Zillion ulti from Ryu, not impactful. And that's a one fight.
It's pretty much been the story of how this game's gone. Now the Baron buff is on. Infernal Dragon will be the next available, but ROCCAT, they may not even need this. We asked if they can close the game out. They're clearly on track to do it right now. Freeze just struggling to clear out his own jungle here as the red gets stolen away by Steelback. H2k are running out of options, and this is so troubling for a team in their position. They've been in a slump, and so has ROCCAT, but you know, at the end of it, one's about to turn that trend around, and the other is still looking in a real bad place. Yeah,
I just went back to rewatch the fight again to see where the Ryu ulti came down, and obviously it was on himself, but H2k made the massive mistake of having both him and Freeze stand next to each other near a wall, so they both got stunned by Parang and killed, meaning Ryu couldn't ulti on Freeze, so the damage dealer dies, and then the fight is lost. Another mistake from H2k with this Zillion pick. It has not been working at all. Like both Ryu, actually just Ryu, in most of the situations have been at fault.
All right, Tempered Fate, Steelback sidestepping on the bombs this time. He gets the health out, Whirling Death, nails him, will not hit the second. Airwax had jumped over the side here. He's got to have to hop the wall, just buying the time to take down the tower. Looking for inhibitor, Chaos Storm is on. H2k are retreating further and further, but their backs are against the wall here. And ROCCAT get everything they want. Yet again, it has been the story of this game.
And remember guys, ROCCAT have lost 10 games and only won a single one. If we go back to the last few weeks.
This is a huge momentum swing for them.
And
if
now,
they can put this away, this gives you so much more confidence to go forward and play against the other teams. And when you're at the halfway point of the split, that's where things need to start turning around for you. ROCCAT actually came in fairly hype, but they did not live up to it, especially in the previous 2-3 weeks.
No, a lot of people expected this ROCCAT lineup to try and break into playoffs. A lot of exciting members, you know.
Yeah, the Raze Praying duo, you know, picking up Steelback, who had a real breakout performance on the Unicorns.
Betsy.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Jankos manages to get the steal away on the Infernal. Some mistakes there, but ROCCAT still firmly ahead of the curve, but that 8% is actually going to help quite a lot.
Yeah, pretty huge for H2k. Small victory for them at the moment. Still at a point where ROCCAT will be way stronger. That's a good stun.
Yeah, they do knock a lot of damage. Stand aside. There's the Monsoon. That might be just enough. He gets caught in the Tempered Fate, but the rest of H2k already on the retreat path. This time, they get freeze with the Chrono Shift. Another Whirling Death comes on out, and that's still going to be tower. Even when they get caught, ROCCAT managed to make the most of this situation. 7 turrets to the 3 that H2k have gotten all game.
And now no ulti from Ryu. Freeze didn't go down, but he was just forced out of the fight. The rest of ROCCAT still pushing on this tower here.
Super minions
coming for the top tower. Just wait for the Ocean Drake as well to give some region. Nice stun from Ryu, but no one can really engage from H2k at this point. They need flash from Jankos, flash body slam, taunt flash from the Shen, and you need one of these squishy members to be in the front so Freeze can one-shot them.
So this time H2k have managed to push ROCCAT back for a moment. There wasn't a huge wave there and the clear was just enough, but as you said, H2k didn't have any way to engage Collapse on this. It's still a 5-man push down in the bottom side, and there is only Nexus turrets up towards the top. H2k have a ticking time bomb on their heads right now.
They're just defending, buying time. That's all they can do at this point. Because I mean, that's the problem, right? You're trying to still farm up on both your carries, but you are sitting back in your base, defending inhib turrets this early in the game. Only 27 minutes in.
And they lost the Nexus turret.
Going down.
They're not even sending members to clear this out. They are doubling down and trying to save it. In comes Tempered Fate. It's only going to hit minions. Key ultimate blown there by Vander, and now the siege on the tower looks a whole lot safer. Jankos hopping the wall, looking for Airwax, who's actually covering, dodging every single skill shot, and they turn their attention towards the mid here. H2k are running out of options, and they're running out fast.
Big mini wave just going down here. Rio killing with the double bomb, but tower will die as well. And you see H2k, they're too afraid. They can't really fight. They're too far behind now. They need to just try and go for it. Freeze is alone in the bottom.
They need to make the desperation play. Jankos getting knocked back.
Go
Omni. Oh no, he's inside of everything, but they throw the Lamb's Respite down, and Airwax gets a quick respite for himself. Monsoon healed up. ROCCAT, they just keep pushing on. A few more seconds and they'll start to have that dragon regeneration kick in, and the base of H2k is left in shambles yet again. Now they turn their attention back towards bottom side and having to save these Nexus turrets. H2k cannot afford to contest.
And H2k cannot force ROCCAT away from this base, because every single time ROCCAT moves between the lanes, they just get so much HP back. Jankos again.
They nail Parang, but it's not nearly enough damage. Trying to get at least one out here. They will manage it, but the tower is still going to fall. There are no Nexus turrets left in this game for H2k, and now this is the desperate charge to try and finish the game. Shutdown, key for Freeze as he nails Airwax with a big axe. Vander, though, he's running away. This is real tense for both the teams. Summoner heal blown just to make sure Ryu stays alive here, and ROCCAT renew the charge. Oh, Vander, one hit will take him out, but they don't have enough.
Don't have enough. They're still pushing for tower, though. Jankos is back with full HP, and he's down to half now. But
this has been just so tense for like 5 minutes, Deficio.
ROCCAT really want to take down this tower, and they do get it. So double inhib down, one inhib alive.
There are no Nexus turrets, by the way. Super minions have taken care of them. Take a look at this base right now.
Hitting the Nexus now, but that's just going to be some farm for H2k. So they win a team fight.
Kinda.
They're still 9,000 gold down. Yeah, kind of win the team fight. Lost the Nexus turret.
I don't think that would qualify as the team fight.
Probably not. Caught out ROCCAT a little bit.
As a play-by-play, I don't think I can actually make that statement. But, you know, you do you.
It was a good CC chain.
Yes.
You know, taunt, body slam,
they got a couple of
bomb.
kills off it. They forced ROCCAT off. But this is such a massive lead. The Baron's going to respawn. You've got no Nexus turrets. You have one inhibitor that just came back up and one in the middle that's still down. If you're going to make a move, you've got to do it now.
Jankos needs to steal this one. Has flash ready, but ROCCAT knows. Okay, the only way back now for H2k is a steal from Jankos. Otherwise, we need one of these games where H2k delays for like 20 more minutes and then there's a chance. He's a round with Smite. There's a ward in the pit. ROCCAT has not cleared out this ward here. So
this is risky.
H2k can see everything, and all right, ROCCAT, a little bit too quick. You can slow it down here. You have enough time. Set up that Baron properly. Get the vision in the enemy jungle, or just go straight for one of these inhibs.
Yeah, sometimes you flirt a little too much with the Baron. You can get bit on the behind for that one for sure. H2k, Ghostblade pop, trying to get back and defend the base and teleport in for Ottawamne here. But inhibitor's already being fired down. It's crunch time to see if H2k can get right back into this. They are losing ground rapidly. Tempered Fate nails Betsy. Do they have enough damage to take him down here? Double bomb knocking in with the big barrel, but Ryu's the one that tanks the brunt of the damage. Still, the shutdown comes in for a Vander, in fact, and H2k desperately trying to save their own base here, but it's not happening. That's going to get them pushed back. H2k are down to 3 members, and it's only Nexus. ROCCAT renewing the charge, trying to push in Lamb's Respite. This is going to be it. Just take the Nexus. It's all you need. They need a win. 31 and a half, and ROCCAT have done it.
I did not expect ROCCAT to take down H2k in 30 minutes. I knew this game could be a lot closer than a lot of people would expect, just because we have so many teams in Europe who struggle right now, and they're all so close to each other in terms of the level.
But that was not a close game. That was ROCCAT leading it the entire time. I mean, H2k, I hate to say this about a team, but they rolled over for like 25 minutes of that game, and then they finally got their act together, and it was too late.
I absolutely love Ryu. I think Ryu is a fantastic player. I love the story. I love his career. But this game was really bad from Ryu. On this Zillion, he had missed ultis. Even some of the last team fights, he was just kind of like panicking, or like, I need to ulti Freeze no matter what. And Freeze is like in the back line, almost on full HP, and then someone in the front line dies, and he still pops the ulti on Freeze. Like, this composition from H2k relied so much on the AD carry, obviously, but also relied on that Zillion to keep the AD carry alive. And Ryu didn't manage to do it. But it was still H2k as a team in the lane swap that fell too far behind.
Yeah, they've definitely got a lot to think about going forward into game number 2. For now, we're going to send it back to the analyst to break down what happened in that first one.
Thank you very much, and we can talk about H2k later, but first I want to sing the praises of ROCCAT. They have turned it around. They were on a 1-9 losing streak, and here they decided to make it work. And what is it that, well, allowed them to get ahead early?
Well, we'll talk about ROCCAT and H2k on this because there's two things. So, ROCCAT do what you do with Kindred, and Ryu didn't respect it. We had so many mid laners during mid lane week say if you play against Kindred, you have to watch out. Level 4, level 5, Kindred's coming mid. Ryu did not respect that. And, you know, we were looking at what Airwax was doing in the beginning of the game. I have to echo Defio's sentiments about Ryu because he gives over the first blood. Then Airwax is able to go down to the bottom side as well and just continue this good fortune on the early game plays. And we know that Airwax, if you can get a pick like Kindred, this is the exact gank that the mid laners were talking about. Got to be careful of that. And from here, Airwax and the rest of ROCCAT have themselves a lead and are able to just constantly build from it.
Well, as far as turning it around goes, Betsy had given up 7 first bloods this split so far, and this is one that he gets or he assists together with Airwax, and that was a sign. They also got their first lead at 10 minutes of their biggest lead at 10 minutes of the split, and their biggest lead at 20 minutes. That was 4,200. So this is the game we want to see ROCCAT play, but how did H2k give it to them?
I mean, it's very much like Pyro described it. They just seem to have flopped. The fact, like, where is H? Because this was very much what we saw in the very early weeks of the LCS, where we were questioning how are H2k going to perform, how is ROCCAT going to perform, when there were a lot of unknowns. And I feel like we've just gone back to that, where ROCCAT, even though their early game they identified was weak, they somehow fixed today. And we've seen them have good early games in the past, or they failed to then close out the game. But this game, they just look controlled, they look concise, they looked efficient, and H2k had no real answer to it.
There was a few other things that revolved around that man or the two men you can see on your screen there for ROCCAT. One of them, honestly, was when Jankos went into the bottom side jungle, tried to invade, ends up getting killed, gives a kill over to Betsy. It's another play that Jankos is trying to make. Airwax catches him in the jungle. And from there, H2k's execution on a lot of plays was very suspect. We took a look at the mid lane fight that followed up. This is the one that, first of all, we were like, wait, why is Ryu actually putting the ult down on Jankos? And you can see the start here is good as a setup onto Raze. They catch out a squishy target, they get the flash, they take away the damage for a moment, and they pick up Raze. And from here, it should be fairly straightforward. But the problem is, Freeze ends up dying, does not get the ultimate coming from Ryu, and this happened far too many times. Either it was an early Shen ult because they wanted to get him into the fight, or the ult going on somebody, or just being completely missed before Ryu got stunned. Like, the execution from H2k was really off what we would expect.
When you're already at risk of tilting and then this happens, I can imagine that missed Cillian ult or that missed Shen ulti, that's probably what pushes you over the edge. So I'm very interested to see if H2k can pull it back, because another 0-2 last week, of course, they suffered that versus the Unicorns of Love. That is not a top 3 team, rather, and there we see them. Yeah, he's probably pretty concerned right now for his team, but he can't really help them when they get into that game and they get the picks, or should they have prioritized some of the other picks?
What I was actually paying attention to was their use of Shen, which Stress and I were having a look at some of the other fights that happened throughout that game, and we saw a lot of very early Shen ults, and we heard the casters talk about how there was a lot of prioritization around the Freeze and his Draven, and he can carry. We've seen him do it multiple times, and when you have a Zilean and a Shen, 2 champions that are so good at keeping your AD carry alive, they're not effectively being used to keep your AD carry alive. That to me just spells H2k drafted a composition that in practice or in theory was very good, but in practice they weren't able to properly execute.
Yeah, any other H2k or iteration or H2k that we seen last split or last season or a couple of weeks ago would be able to do that as well. They just need to find that click again, and ROCCAT did. Player of the game is Airwax. It was between Betsy and Airwax for us, but both had a fantastic game, and we always talk about them. If they do well together, usually it goes all right, and it showed.
Yeah, I mean, this is the point where we look at player of the game, and it's just like so many times a lot of the big early plays are going to come from junglers, and it's very easy to look at Airwax and say, hey, look, he set up the entire game for ROCCAT like that. So certainly that gank that we took a look at, the bottom lane play as well, Airwax, when he's playing a champion like Kindred and gets that opportunity, we know he's going to be good. The problem for me with Airwax is the games where he doesn't get that.
Yeah.
That's where it's suspect. But ROCCAT, hey, if they can 2-0 H2k, that is a massive, massive victory.
Yeah, of course, it's super likely that at the beginning beginning of next game, Jankos gets the first blood and they go off from there, but we will see. ROCCAT were cleaning up game 1 here in the arena, and Unicorns of Love and Schalke, they were on the Rift over in the studio and on EU LCS 2. And Vedi, you kept an eye on that match. It
Yes,
was
I did.
carbon copy for a lot of picks, I saw.
Yeah, we saw once again the Shen coming out from the Unicorns of Love. Somewhat of a bit of disrespect, and it definitely should have been, because the use of that Shen ult was fantastic from the Unicorns. Here, you can see Schalke just disrespecting it. They felt like they could go for a play. Chachi comes in, gets the turnaround, and Unicorns, they pick themselves up first blood. And this was only the start of their success, because while things were looking very good for them, I mean, you see here, committing to a fight, and then Unicorns of Love, they just quickly turn it around. You cannot flash into an ultimate from Exile. And we're seeing once more how Exile, he's making use of these control mages and shifting from this solo carry playstyle into a superstar mid laner here in Europe. And this play here was pretty much what decided the game for Unicorns of Love. Schalke, they go for a desperation Baron. We heard from Gilius how he feels that he needs to improve his shot calling. Well, that right there was not a good shot call. You should not go for a Baron, especially when Unicorns of Love have vision on it. The way in which they collapsed was fantastic, and if Unicorns can keep this up, they're looking like a very solid middle-of-the-pack team.
Yeah, particularly impressed by the way they have put the focus on vision control as well to get ahead for them. With ROCCAT 1 game up, though, over here, we're going to have a short break. Our coverage of the European LCS continues in just a few minutes.